Hey, what's up, everybody? My name's David.
And I'm Dylan.
And we're the Wet Rats. And today we're talking about Season 1, Episode 2
Which
of
is
Ash
called
vs.
Bait.
Evil Dead. Which is called what?
Bait.
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 The aptly named episode.
Yep.
So, if you didn't watch last week's episode, we talked about the first episode of Ash vs. Evil Dead. I almost said The Walking Dead. Sorry about that.
Ash vs. The Walking Dead. That's what it's called.
So we're going to talk about episode 2. Now, last week we kind of just gave a general thought on the series at that point, like what we thought of like that episode and how it would play into the series. From now on, from this point on, we will always be talking spoilers for each episode, just so you know. So if you haven't seen episode 2 yet, there's going to be spoilers.
Right.
Just so you know. So from this point on, I'll try to mention it at every episode, but just so you know, if you continue to watch the series, spoilers. So please watch the episodes first. Anyways, Dylan, what did you think of episode 2?
Episode 2 was on par with episode 1, in my opinion.
Yep.
Like we both said last week, we were concerned with Raimi not coming back to direct this one. And this one's also shorter than the first one. As we both talked about, I think the shorter works better. I'm more...
Yes.
I like it being in 30 minutes better. To me, when I first watched the first one, I thought it should have been 30 minutes. Not that episode should have been 30 minutes, that's fine. But the series on whole, I was like, this should be a 30 minute.
If we are going to do a whole show
Yeah.
based on a kind of small movie series, I mean, 3 movies, sure, that's a decent number, but that's it.
Yeah,
And then and those movies aren't horribly long. They're pretty short considering other movies. So if we're going to be doing a whole series, already 2 seasons at least, based on a 3 movie series, we need to keep it short.
Yep.
We want as much great content as possible, but we don't want it to overstay its welcome.
And what I like about it too is like it allows it to focus on, like, this whole thing was just the bit that they were kind of just foreshadowing in the last one. Like, they go to Kelly's parents, it's Kelly's parents, that's just it. There's like nothing else there, it's just that, which I like.
Yeah.
Because then it allows for like, there's no flashing other really events or anything, it allows the like jokes and all the stuff you want to happen there happen.
Absolutely.
They're not cutting anything short.
Yeah. And I felt like this episode ended, and like the first episode, like I felt like we had its own little story.
Sure.
This episode had its own little story, and it concluded by the end.
Yeah.
And I liked that. And I'm okay if later episodes have cliffhangers and move on to other stuff. That's going to happen, and that's okay. But I like that at least so far we're kind of getting nice little stories. Because if this series was just kind of small vignettes, I'd be in for that.
Yeah.
Just new locations, new characters, new situations. That would be really cool. I don't need some kind of like Lost level storytelling where it's like, oh my god, who's that?
Exactly.
Like,
I don't want that. And I like that so far.
Yeah.
Because also, too, it allows us to, by focusing just on these 3 people, now we got introduced to Pablo and Kelly, and now we kind of know Pablo and Kelly a little bit better.
Yeah. And I feel like, they were kind of... They had potential in the first episode, but they were sort of throwaway characters.
Yep.
But this episode made me really like Pablo, at least.
Yes, Pablo.
We didn't see a ton of Kelly, honestly, until the end of the episode. This episode made me really go like, Pablo's funny. The actor's funny. He delivers his lines funny, and his lines are written funny.
And now I think Kelly's is going to be like the episode where Kelly starts getting more flesh. Because they all kind of hit like, oh, you're kind of like younger me. So it's like, okay, Pablo's not going to be the next like Ash. It's going to be Kelly being.
Yeah, which will be cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really liked this episode. I think the writing was hilarious. I really hope the writing stays on par with these first 2. It's just like laughs per minute. Yeah. It's so funny. And I'm really glad about that because I wasn't sure how that would play.
Right.
Like, I hope that, again, that's the thing I hope doesn't overstay its welcome. But I really like the humor so far. Ash's lines are so fucking well written and funny. And the reactions to the other characters, which are... Pablo's like... This episode showed he's a little more goofy. But I kind of like the idea that Kelly's going to be more of a straight character.
Yeah.
So that we kind of have these, this dynamic between all of them.
Because like Pablo's a funny character, but more like hopelessly funny.
Yeah.
And Ash is just like the really like out of touch, almost kind of funny, like not totally aware of his own situation, like kind of aware, but like he doesn't realize. The only thing I still like iffy on is the story with the other girl they keep going to.
Yeah,
that's pretty serious.
I'm curious to see how that'll all tie in. We'll have to see where that goes. Yeah, I'm definitely curious about that. But I think it's such a good dynamic between those actors. I think there's good chemistry between all those actors.
Yeah.
The main 3.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm really excited to see their further adventures. In terms of story in this episode, I'm okay if the show doesn't have a crazy good story.
Right.
If it stays this funny, that's okay. Evil Dead, I love the Evil Dead series, but they weren't known for amazing storytelling.
Right.
The first 2 are dudes in a cabin. The third one is obviously quite different and expands the story, honestly, a ton, but it's still a pretty straightforward story, even despite the fact that it has time travel and all kinds of shit. It's still, pretty straightforward. So I don't need something that's, like, groundbreaking.
No.
If it's just like, oh, we got to go here, we got to go kill this.
It's almost
fine.
in a way like that's almost. It's not groundbreaking because it's been broken before, but almost it's a breath of fresh air. Because I feel like too many shows think you need that big. Like,
so
every
many
episode's
shows
on a
are
cliffhanger.
so
Everything
serious.
ends at some sort of mystery thing going down. Like, who's that person? They're like, I don't want that. I like what this is right now. It's just straightforward.
Right.
Episode to episode. Just shit happens, and I like it.
Yeah, and just really funny writing.
Just really super funny.
So, anything else to say about this episode? I guess.
A
lot of really good gore.
Good gore.
Really good gore, funny gore. And that's one of the reasons I've always liked the Evil Dead series. That really turned me off to the remake, which I didn't see, to be fair. But I just felt like the remake played its gore a little more straight. I know I've seen some clips, and some of it seems actually kind of funny. But I know a lot of scenes seemed like it was kind of being serious with its gore, being like, oh, this is crazy, scary gore. What I liked about Evil Dead 2 in particular, because Army of Darkness didn't honestly have much gore.
Not really.
What I loved about Evil Dead 2 is it realized, like, hey, blood's kind of funny. Let's make it, like, fucking hilarious.
Blood's funny, and, like, especially, like, a weirdly like, the way you use it, the way it's splattered, how much you use it. I mean, because, like, that one scene where Kelly's essentially getting sprayed by her mother's blood while he's, like, trying to, like, get her chainsaw.
It's hilarious.
It's really,
and that's what works about the Evil Dead series, is that it's honestly horrifying, awful things.
Yeah.
But funny. And that's what Evil Dead 2 made happen.
Yeah.
Like, Evil Dead 1 had that a little bit, but it was kind of more played straight. Evil Dead 2 is the one that mastered, like, this is fucked up shit. He's killing his girlfriend.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny.
Okay.
And, like, this episode nailed that. And this episode wasn't even directed by Sam Raimi. The guy who directed this did a great job.
Yeah.
It didn't feel, like, weird to me. It didn't feel like, oh, this is different. And I didn't know before watching it that it wasn't directed by Sam Raimi. I didn't know that until the credits rolled. And there's even a part where they have a fight scene in a car, which I was like, oh, it's kind of like Drag Me to Hell.
Yeah.
There's a scene, it's in a parked car in Drag Me to Hell. But it kind of reminded me a little bit of that, so.
I am really glad they didn't give Kelly's parents names, just mom and dad. Because just hearing Ash always call them mommy and daddy was so funny.
That was great. Just pretty much, I liked everything in this episode.
Yeah.
There was one part where they did the whole Hush Little Baby, Don't Say a Word song again,
Yeah.
which was right out of Evil Dead 2. And I was like, yeah, I get it. You're part of the franchise. But other than that was like a small thing. It was just kind of like,
Right.
I don't necessarily, like, you don't have to constantly be giving me little reminders like, oh,
Right.
remember this in Evil Dead 2? Yes, I do. I watched it. Of course I did. But that's not really a complaint. It was just something that, I probably wouldn't have put in an episode if I was writing it.
I didn't even think about that when I heard it. Just did something didn't occur to me.
Right. But yeah, everything else is perfect. I'm really excited to see where the show goes.
Me too.
So everybody out there, if you're watching this, let us know what you thought about episode 2 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. And tune in next week where we might talk about episode 3 of Ash vs. Evil Dead. And if you aren't already, be sure to follow us on Twitter because we do update all of our shit on there. And you don't want to miss our updates, right?
Mm-hmm.
Twitter.com/TheWetRats. Thanks for joining us, guys. See
Bye.
you next time. Bye.